Alright, so let's first talk about last Thursday's lecture and go over that and then move on to yesterday. Sound good?
Yeah.
Alright, so what was the current event that we talked about on last Thursday? What do your notes say? I think you're muted. Here, Andrea, did you have something to say? Okay. Wait.
About
There
was
we
it
go.
the one about the man being dragged off the airplane?
Yeah, the United Airlines. And what was kind of remarkable about this event and everything? Well, does everybody remember what happened?
Yeah, they kind of made a poor decision for public relations.
Yeah. Remember there was the flight was overbooked, and because there were some flight attendants that need to be in a different location and had to be on that flight to get there because they're already late. And so they were like, okay, let's see if we have any volunteers. Let's try giving people money incentives. They only raised the incentive once, and then they decided, oh, we're going to do a random generator and pick out someone and have them leave the plane. Then this doctor did not want to leave the plane because he had a surgery to get to. So, and he put up a fuss and everything. And then as the airport security guards came in and they were dragging him out, they knocked him unconscious. And he was an older gentleman as well. So that raised more concerns. And what did the professor say about this event? What did you guys think of it?
Well, that's kind of. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I just remember us talking about it, and then I can't remember if he related it to anything in class.
Yeah, he didn't really relate it to anything in class. I just wanted to make sure that you guys kind of the event and everything. And well, what did he say? It was kind of an observation of what private business can do, I think. And as far as, I don't know, just something to kind of look at and examine, you know? But, yeah. He probably isn't going to test you on it, so. Yeah. Either way, still good to go over. I don't know, what do you guys think about it? Joseph, did you have an opinion?
Whatchamacallit, I think I remember him talking about how, I mean, not really talking about it, but we discussed in class how that was it like how the security the airport got blamed rather than the security? I don't.
Yeah, well, the airline got blamed instead of the security guards, who are the ones who actually knocked the guy out when they dragged him out and everything. So, yeah, it's that deflection of blame as well.
But that wasn't what he was talking about in class, what you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, he mostly just talked about it to bring it up and just make sure that you guys are aware of it, which is kind of hard not to be because it was all over the news and social media and everything. I'm sure yeah, I mean, I've just seen all the jokes about United, and I'm sure you guys have as well. Just like, oh, oh yeah, like somebody's like training at a gym, and it's just like, oh, gonna go on a United flight. So yeah, all right, and then what did we talk about next? What was the kind of the main part of the lecture?
It's about money and campaign money, right?
Yeah, and what was said about campaign money?
Didn't we talk about the super PACs?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the different ways that Bush and Obama raise money, right?
yeah.
Can you say what the difference was? Do you recall?
Well, Bush went to a room full of like 20 guys and asked for a big check, and Obama went to everyone and asked for a little one.
Pretty much. And does spending the most amount of money in a campaign guarantee that you win the election? Nope, I see you shaking your head, Jordan.
Nope.
And why is that?
This last campaign.
Yeah. Just this last campaign and those couple of other campaigns. Why is it money being a factor as much?
It's just.
You guys not hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, but Joanna can't. Let's see. I know, like my laptop is really loud sometimes. Shit. Unmute. All right. Oh, where she's at? Never mind. Okay, I'm sorry. I got confused by things. Okay, we're cool. All right. So, I'm sorry. Continue, Jordan.
I just think it's that you can't pay people to like you. You have to have that trait. You have to have that character, or something that the people want. They see inside of you.
Yeah, you can have as much money as you want, but if people don't like you or don't know about you or think there's something, you have a major character flaw, they're not gonna vote for you. They're not gonna care.
Right.
So yeah. And then so after we talked about those, we went into interest groups, correct? Because we kind of started that lecture, and then that continued on to Tuesday. What was said about interest groups on Thursday?
Well, they offer a method of the public being heard. You know, so Madison in his Federalist 10, Federalist 51, talked about how interest groups were, bad. As a tyranny by the majority can happen, or maybe that was a different term.
Well, it's
tyranny by somebody.
possible that there could be a tyranny of the majority if there is a giant interest group, but with diversity and what was it? Remember, there was those two things that made factions all right to be in present and everything, because we need them, because if we suppress them and we're like, no, you can't have interests, then that's a suppression of freedom of thought.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, there's two things.
It's like freedom and democracy or something.
Yeah, it was diversity of ideas.
Mhm.
And what was the other one?
Liberty.
Yeah, because you have liberty to be and do, and then actually, whatchamacallit, and the fact that there allows for so many interest groups, then there will be less people belonging to just one, let's say. So let's say, we only allow 5 interest groups. Then that's more dangerous than allowing 100 different interest groups, because then they're competing. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, does that kind of sum up for Thursday? Or is there anything in your notes that you guys particularly found interesting?
I'm good on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's good. And then let's move on to yesterday. So, who remembers the little political cartoon for yesterday? It had to do with taxes.
The chump or something.
Yeah. I'm a chump. Yeah, that was. What do you guys think of that cartoon?
It kind of shows the strange, I guess, ways that if you do have a lot of money, there's seemingly more ways to get around to doing taxes than people who make maybe a middling income.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that every rich person does, but at the same time, you don't really get rich by giving away your money, so they have to be holding on to it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare the percentage of the income taken from of the total income that a someone who has a lower income to someone who has a higher income, such as $250,000 or less or more a year, they're gonna pay a smaller percentage of their annual salary than someone who is making lower, just because we're making less, and so what they take out ends up having more of an impact for us. Does that make sense?
I thought it was because they they pay less taxes because they're considered to be, well, depending on their profession, I guess they're considered to be contributing, kind of like what are those? There's a term for it.
Essentially, they're kind of given, in some ways, tips on their taxes,
That's
like the businesses,
hmm
because they're seen to be giving back to the economy and stimulating it by having these businesses. And so, like, oh, you own a business, so you're contributing this way, so we'll give you this break
Right.
to encourage you and allow you to continue to contribute to the economy in this larger way by employing several people. And so that is, yeah. So
It kind of makes sense though, if because they're paying their employees the wage that is current for the well, maybe not current. The wages haven't really gone up a whole lot, but they're including things like cost of living and taxes and all that, and so that's already being paid out. And so then to tax them on 100% of the actual, I guess, income is almost like getting a double jeopardy there.
yeah, well,
in a way.
So have you heard of trickle down economics? All right, let me share my screen. So that is kind of the foundation of, this is the theory that is kind of the reason to give businesses breaks. So trickle-down economics, also referred as trickle-down theory, is a term associated with here, let's just go to the actual Wikipedia article and look at this full thing. So it is, as you see, it's referring to trickle-down to capitalism. And so the idea is that let's see. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get the actual way how to, because I want to describe it in a correct way that makes sense. Okay, this is it. Basically, that it's really frustrating. Okay, so I'm sorry, I apologize for this, guys. So the idea is that, okay, let's see, here we go. So this is kind of what the idea is that, okay, you are pouring this amount of money into these companies. This applies to both the tax breaks and the subsidies, the TIFs, that like, okay, hey, if we make sure that these companies are profiting a lot, then they have more money to give out more jobs. If they have more money to give more jobs, that leads to more workers. And if they have more money, then they can pay their workers higher wages. That is the theory. but often it does not happen. And that's what we have seen in the past, what is it, 40 years since Reagan, because this is also, another term for this is Reaganomics. And so this is the theory, and this is what led to the Occupy movement, and the fact that the 1% of the 1% own 20% of America's wealth. And that is a tiny amount of people. That is less than 100 people who own 20% of the total GDP of America. And so, and it's just the trickling down of the money, it trickles down so that there's only a little bit of wine in the very bottom cups. And there's a little bit more in the middle cups. But the top is full. So it's more like, okay, the top stays full, the middle kind of balances out, but it still pours out to kind of fill the bottom. Does that make sense? And so, unfortunately, it's like Brian said, and as he described it, it's like, yeah, you know, when you say this, it makes sense. It's like, okay, yeah, you know, if companies make more money, then that means they'll be able to pay their workers more. If they have these breaks, then they'll be able to hire more workers. But instead, we're seeing the bonuses and everything, rather than using this money to expand the company.
Sounds like they just got the proportions of how much they should be cut breaks, you know, for this stuff wrong, because, you know, the degree at which it happens is really hard to measure.
Yeah.
So there just needs to be a better way of actually measuring that in order to make that argument. And then once you can measure it, then we'll actually know how much of an impact it's having. But it's all based on, you know, likely to happen, not so.
And it's believing in the goodness of business.
Right.
And as we all know, business is self-interested. I mean, it's the nature. It's like, to succeed in business, you need to focus on the self and do what it gotta do to get ahead. And so it's a challenge to figure out how to incorporate them to actually, like, at what point does the profit that the companies are getting, does that start going down, kind of thing. And this also follows into what we then talked about with interest groups and businesses and the Iron Triangle. I know Joseph, Jordan, and Amber and I went over it on Monday, but did any of you guys watch the video that was put up? Did the Iron Triangle concept make sense?
Kinda.
Okay.
I didn't actually see the video though.
Okay. Well, so I know you were present in class and the professor discussed it. So let's kind of talk about the Iron Triangle and what it is exactly. And so, what did you understand, Brian? And then we can go from there.
So let's see. One of the corners was the
Here, I'll draw it on the share screen.
it's called the lobbyists. You got the lobbyists, the bureaucrats, and the legislators.
Yep.
And the lobbyists are essentially able to provide votes, and polls and public opinion info to the legislators. And in return, the legislators do things that benefit what the lobbyists are lobbying for.
Yeah.
And then the legislators kind of trade between the bureaucrats for, it kind of goes back and forth for funding and favors.
So what's the relationship between legislators and bureaucrats?
That's the one I didn't quite understand.
Okay. So can somebody help Brian out with that?
Was it funding?
So what do bureaucrats do? Who's a bureaucrat, Joseph?
You said it was somebody specialized within the government
Yeah,
that's like works for the government and has like a special. They do a specific task or something.
no, it's anybody who works for the government who's not elected.
Okay.
Because remember, I'm technically a bureaucrat because I work for the state. But when the professor kind of described these, how did he kind of talked about their jobs and everything? You guys remember that?
Is that how they're essentially given jobs for, the lobbyists are given jobs if they do stuff for the bureaucrats?
Well, okay. Let's back this up. All right. Let's look at the textbook. Question. Does anyone have their textbook with them? Andrea?
Nope.
Do you think you could pull it up?
The textbook, right?
Yeah. Let's see. What is the textbook's definition for bureaucrats? That way, because I feel like I'm not describing it correctly, and I think maybe the book can give you something a bit more specific that I can draw off of. And also, book definition is helpful if you're writing an essay on this subject.
Where would it be?
So go to the back to the glossary.
Has bureaucracy.
Oh, you found it, Amber?
Yeah, but it's only bureaucracy.
Oh, okay. What does
It's
it
not-
say there?
It says the complex.
Sorry, you have to speak up more. You have to speak up more.
I was like yelling now. Okay, let me find it. The complex structure of offices, tasks, rules, and principles of organization that is employed by all large-scale institutions to coordinate the work of their personnel.
So, think of this in terms of the government. And so, think about the secretaries, the researchers, the people who are on like these standing committees who work for the legislators. Those are the bureaucrats. They're the people who are working there, whether the legislator is there or not. But unless they're working on a special committee that is only temporary, and so then their job is kind of more up in the air. And so remember what the professor was talking about how these three all kind of provide job security for each other?
Was it like about partisanship, kind of?
A little bit. And think about the projects and everything.
Wasn't he saying how like I guess they kind of do favors for each other, so like after they're done with their term, if it's like limited, then they like get hired by the companies that they helped out.
Exactly. And it's that whole, if I scratch your back, you'll scratch mine. And like when I'm out of here and I'm no longer working for the government, hey, maybe I can go work for your company because I did you this favor.
It's called a quid pro quo.
Yeah, quid pro quo. That's the Latin name for it. Also, Jordan, no, we aren't going to the mall later.
What was that?
We aren't going to the mall later, Jordan.
Oh, did I type that in the group chat? Oops. Well, now you guys know where I'm going.
Let's go to the mall. But so yeah, and also the legislators are gonna be looking for possible employment afterwards, you know, and the bureaucrats and the legislators are who help keep the lobbyists employed by helping them be successful in what they're trying to accomplish by lobbying their interests and getting their projects pushed through. Does that make sense? And so he talked a bit more about the NRA and what they do for their membership and everything. So what does the NRA do as far as lobbying and membership goes? How are they able to be this powerhouse of a lobbyist group for gun rights?
Because they charge low fees to their members to be like subscription type thing. But the thing is they get a lot of money from different sources. Like they have a lot of deals with other gun companies that they get a sales percentage. when they sell guns and all this other stuff. So they're getting money from all these other areas besides their members. That's why they're able to charge their members a little bit.
Yeah, they're able to charge them and give them a lot of benefits. Because remember, they were given like a bunch of like discounts and like had their what was it, like a hat and a choice of one of 3 magazines and everything. And so, I mean, for a little bit of money, you get a pretty big payoff. And like, what was it? A free ticket to the gun show and everything. And so, they're able to do so. And Jordan, I think you're still typing to us in the group chat. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted. I'm just like, can you just wait to talk to Amber about this in like a couple minutes? Let's see what the chat says. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, and so the NRA is able to be a very effective lobbyist group because they, one, get a lot of citizen members, but they have that funding from other gun companies. And it's interesting because without either one of those, they wouldn't have the other, if that makes sense. But it was also because, I mean, you guys read the article about the NRA as an interest group, correct? Well, it was one of your online articles, if you didn't get to it, and it talked about how it transformed over the years. And so it already had kind of a substantial user membership, but once gun rights became more endangered, then it became more of a lobbyist group rather than marksmanship and everything as it was. So they were able to get the support of the gun companies by having their membership and whatnot. So yeah, that kind of sums up the 2 lectures, unless there's something I'm missing. I was gone that day, so on Tuesday, so I know.
I think we talked briefly about how what was it? How somebody wouldn't agree with, I think it was Jefferson or Madison. They wouldn't agree with. It was like towards the end.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Like, there was like a slide with like Trump and his conflict of interest and everything. Do you guys remember that slide? Wasn't there like I briefly saw it because I was re-watching the stream before this class and everything, and then time got away from me, and so I didn't get to see like kind of the last bit of it. I admit that. And I just remember seeing like a slide of like Trump's conflict of interest of like the interest groups that are kind of in his pocket, like people that are in his pocket and whatnot. Is that what you're referring to, Joseph, or is it something totally else and I'm like off mark?
No, I think it's very similar. It was like, I think it was about whether or not that they would believe in interest groups.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Jefferson or Madison. I don't remember which one it was. And it was towards the end. So yeah, I think it might have been about the Trump's conflict of interest. And he was like, oh, do you think that they would agree with, I don't remember who specifically, but he was like, do you think that they would believe in, what'd you say?
Sanders? What am I talking about? They're
I don't know.
totally different.
I'm taking this thing to somewhere else. I don't know. Never mind.
I don't know. I'm just remember something different, Joanna.
Probably. I have these notes and it talks about Trump and Sanders understand, and then that was like on the 13th, so that was probably Thursday. Never mind, you guys.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. But okay, yeah. So it probably would just be like, because because he's probably just relating the fact of like what Brian was talking about is that interest groups are factions,
Mm-hmm.
and Madison wrote about factions, and like probably would Madison see today's interest groups as factions, particularly like maybe business interest groups. But he
Yeah, that was
probably
it.
would, because he'd be like, yeah, capitalism, gotta keep the industry rolling and everything, and like, yeah. But he'd probably be skeptical as well, because the possible tyranny and monopoly of interest that business can have. So, I don't know. That's just what I'm conjecturing. But yeah, alright. So, is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? Y'all good? Okay. Well, then we can let you go whole 6 minutes early, guys. Which kind of makes up for like the fact that like Joseph, Jordan, and Amber and I went to 7:30 on Monday. I checked the time. I was like, damn, this is late.
Just learning.
I know, we were just having a really good session. So
I got an 8 on that quiz.
what?
You gotta.
I said I still got an 8 on that quiz.
Oh. Still better than a 4 or a 7. So, all right. Well, if you guys are good, I'm good.
Have a good night.
All right.
Yes.
Good night. Have fun at the mall, guys.